Let's go. Yeah.
There you go.
We're live. How are you now? I'm sorry.
Nick, we're live.
Okay,
I know, I'm busy.
I'd like to call the April 24th, 2025 meeting of the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency to order. You all have, Tim, can you do a roll call of the
Absolutely. Nick Nally,
present?
Pat Carroll,
Present.
Trish Peters Clark, I believe is.
She's on her way.
She's on her way.
Yeah, she'll be here a few minutes late.
I can saw him here. Mary Ellen Chesbrough.
Yeah.
Mark Greco.
Here.
Peter Standard.
Present.
Right, of course.
And Austin, can you go over the?
Sure. So in terms of directors and staff present, we have myself, Austin Gillette, CEO of the Oswego County IDA, Kevin Lamontagne joining us virtually, CFO of the IDA. In person, we have here Kevin Caracoli, legal counsel or general counsel for the IDA, and Nate Emmons, staff of Operation Oswego County. We are also not at this time, but in this meeting, Mark Bombardo, county employee, will be joining us to discuss a infrastructure project.
Okay. Item number 1 on the agenda, the minutes from last meeting. Everybody had a chance to review those.
So make a motion.
Mark, Mel, any discussion or questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries and minutes are approved. Notice of the meeting was in the Fail Times on April 10th. And financial reports, who's going to take this, Kevin?
Yeah, I can take that. Just a little update here. We have the March 31st financials in front of us. At this time of year, we're, especially as of the 31st, a little bit less now, or somewhat less now. We're in the middle of collecting pilots and remitting to the taxing authority. So you see funds flow through our statements. And one of those instances is at the first page on the balance sheet at cash. You can see the dramatic change in cash from 9.2 million last year at this time to 3.5 million roughly this year at this time. And the difference is Vistra, the Scythe power plant. Basically, last year on March 31st, that pilot payment was in-house and not yet remitted. This year, it's already been collected and remitted. You can see the difference as we get to it down in liabilities on pilots due to taxing authorities was also very high. So last year we were sitting on the cash, but also basically due to we had a high payable to the taxing authorities at the moment of March 31st. So kind of flipping through balance sheet, we go all the loans. We'll talk about delinquent loans and delinquent pilots in executive session. Just one other comment. It'll come up later in the meeting, but as you know, we're under a purchase option agreement for some property, and we have had some income come in. And I'm on the first page, or actually the last page of the balance sheet, down in the liabilities and equity section, very close to the last line, fifth one up or sixth one up, is 2,750. So we're on track with the payments under that agreement. It was paid timely with no hassle. So, and Austin will give an update on that later. And then over on the profit and loss side, just a couple of quick comments. One is on the revenue. This is something we're paying close attention to all the time, but this year we still have quite a few projects that haven't closed. Many of those I don't have the list in front of me at this moment, but a number of those are solar projects with, uncertain futures. But as of the end of March, we're at 141. As of today, April 24th, we're at 151 for the year. We'll talk more about some ongoing projects later in the meeting, but we anticipate that in the forecast we've recently pulled together, which will also be reviewed at this meeting, we anticipate that will be something around 405 for the year, which includes one major project that's yet to close and the hope or some likelihood of at least one solar project closing before year end, before 7/31. So if we do close the year at 400 or more, that will be a good year historically for the IDA, and certainly ahead of last year. Last year closed was a low year historically at 291 for the year, and we know with a high level certainty we're going to beat that number this year. It's just the solar project, I guess, I would say is one of the uncertainties anytime we include a solar project in our forecasts. Just two other quick comments. Property maintenance, I've mentioned this before, but you see a credit of $47. What that we have spent less on property maintenance this year, and we didn't find $47 laying in the woods or something. We had an effort to clean up some old things that were kind of lingering out, and one of those was a charge from 2018 that had been on our books, and anyway, it's cleaned up now, but it had passed several audits hanging out on our books, so it's fixed now, and we took the credit this year, so that's pushing that cost below zero year to date. I'm sure it won't end the year that way with lawn mowing and things. And then just a note on the loan interest income, which is the last line of the first page. You see actually our loan interest income is up from last year, which has been an initiative of Austin and mine to drive additional income, from our interest. We are newer loans that we've closed a number of good sized ones in the last year or year plus. So those are paying interest now. Some had initial deferments, but they're at a higher interest rate than we've historically used, to reflect our policy, as you know, from recent loans we've looked at. So it's good to see that loan interest income at the IDA gets funneled right back into the loan funds, but it is nice to see some increase in that overall income, I think. And hopefully we'll continue that trend in the years to come. So that's all I have to say. Any questions?
No question?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Get a motion to approve the March 31st financials. Mark. Pat and Mark. Any comments, questions? Concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, Village of Phoenix wastewater treatment plant
I'm
project.
actually gonna ask to push this one to a little further down the agenda. Just Mark Lombardo is, he's not able to join us in person, and in a few minutes he can join us virtually on here. I just wanna make sure he has everything for that. So what I would just say is if we could skip that, maybe pick that up after IDA budget.
Okay, so we're gonna go to local gas and energy now, number 5.
Yeah, and I think that this could be a project that could be both myself and Kevin Caracoli to discuss. So things have been moving along well on this project. We actually, the company has had multiple conversations with several potential CO2 users, which have been fruitful conversations. I won't get into any of those in particular, just but overall they've been productive. And the company has actually a couple things. They have formally submitted and Kevin, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. They have formally submitted as of earlier this week a package to the planning board for the town of Albany for consideration. I think it's going to be on the agenda for the May 6th meeting, and we'll have representation there for that. We've also, as CEO of the IDA, I'm authorized to say that they have permission to put in a site plan, as we're still the owner of it, but we have provided them some site control through our options. So positive things. I think that it's things that, when we originally had started talking about this, we were talking about maybe potentially up to a 3-year period for this. It looks like it's moving quicker than that. So that's obviously, things can still get stuck in the mud a little bit, but as of now, I think they're ahead of schedule related to their local planning process. So anything, Kevin, you wanted to add on that?
The application is for site plan approval. There might be a need for a variance because there's actually 195 feet of road frontage off of Owens Road, and the town zoning requirements require 200 feet. So not a big deal. I don't think there's a real issue there, but it's the beginning of a process. I'm anticipating it'll be, several meetings, and as the project gets a little more refined. Right now, it's kind of conceptually drawn out. They do have buildings, and it's in 3 separate phases, and they're concentrating on phase 1, which is the primary build out. But there's a lot of moving parts here. Their CSX rail line is involved, and the properties next door, National Grid. There's a lot of moving parts. So, but the process is beginning, to Austin's point, and probably a little bit ahead of schedule. Company's been very mindful of the schedule they proposed, so they're really trying to hit those marks. I think they had anticipated a May, June, maybe even by end of July submission, so they're right on track with that.
One other thing I do want to make for full transparency is that the company has approached Kevin to represent him because of all of his, understanding of the local town processes and that kind of thing. That relationship did develop after the IDA had already signed an option agreement with that. So, that wasn't kind of happening at the same time. This probably happened within the last, I think, 2 months, I would say.
Yeah, it was certainly afterwards, and at the appropriate time, seek a waiver of any potential conflicts. I don't believe there will be, but best to, to just disclose that. So I will be, I've assisted the company in the application to the town. The one thing about Dana Hofer, he likes to do a lot of things on his own. I mean, he's very proactive in that regard. To what extent I'll be involved, in attending those meetings and whatnot, I'm leaving up to him to decide. Because that's really his call.
So you're the engineer stamp, more or less.
I don't know about that.
I'd like something else to go, but you
The legal stamp, I
Yes.
suppose, at least the
Yes.
legal eyes on things.
Yeah.
He is working with with other engineers and developers, and as Austin said, he's made multiple contacts with many different potential customers in the area, so things are moving in a positive direction.
Any questions regarding that? I think it's something that, obviously a project of that magnitude and scope is something that, it's gonna see a lot of sort of obstacles and, everything from the financing to all the other things along the way, but feel good about it where it is right now, and we'll continue to work with them and, see if we can bring that project here to Oswego County.
At this point, there's nothing for us to do.
No, I just wanted to give an update and let you guys know also that I signed on behalf of the IDA, giving him permission to submit the site plan. So I didn't need, to get a permission on that. We'd already, really did that when we had gone through our previous stuff, but just want to give you that information.
Yeah, it was part of the option agreement. There was a clause in there that the IDA would cooperate. And just best practices, town wants to know, because it's in the IDA's name, that even though Opal is the applicant, that the IDA, the landowner, consents to the application.
Okay.
Pretty routine.
So that's just an update. We don't have to vote on anything there, right?
Correct.
Okay, any questions on that, anybody? Actually, update. IDA budget for.
Sure. So you'll see here in front of you, this is something we have to submit on an annual basis to the New York State Authority Budget Office as part of our, parish reporting. It's not due at the time of our other parish stuff, it's sort of off that schedule. This is actually, I believe, due by the end of May or June. I think it's due by the end of June, actually. But we wanted to get it in a little bit early here. So we're looking at this about a month earlier than we normally do. But this sort of shows you and kind of gets back to what Kevin had discussed earlier, looking at, the year, looking at last year, and then looking at the next sort of 4 years. So we always have to do this sort of look back at the previous year's actual budget, and then looking at this year's estimated based on where we are in the calendar, as well as what we know. And this, I would say that, especially for like the charges for services, these are conservative. These are things that we know. I think the only thing that Kevin mentioned is that, we're looking at one of maybe 5 different solar projects that are already all in this process of closing. So we're kind of being conservative on, one of those. Could be more, and then we're just using some conservative estimates for future years. Looking here at some other things. No, I think that, we're trying to build in some escalation on some things like professional service contracts, some of those costs, just looking at previous years, looking at where we are and making sure that we're not keeping numbers flat across the board and, and being unrealistic. So, we have, we try to be, have some of those built in on both the revenue and expense side. Some of the things here, so like under other non-operating expenses, those are things like pilot EDF expenses. We don't know exactly when those things are going to hit, but we know that, we try to match those up to other non-operating revenues and other non-operating expenses, just because we know they're gonna even themselves out unless there's something special there. So anyway, this is, something that Kevin and I have worked together this is the third year now that we've put this together, and every year we sort of refine it, and every year I feel a little bit more comfortable about it, and, a couple of the things like on the investment earnings, if you wonder why those are sort of dropping over time, that's building in some assumption that interest rates will go down over time. And so that, the interest that we generate on money in the bank will go down. That may not happen, but, we're building in some conservative estimates in here so that we're not making assumptions that may not take place. So
You're not assuming it's going down because the balance in the account is going down.
it's more just I look at it more as some of that, but more on the interest side. Just, right now where interest rates are, don't anticipate we're gonna always continue to get that interest rate return. So, if we do, then that's a good thing, but I don't wanna be overly optimistic. But just showing, with conservative estimates, we're in the black every year. So any questions related to this, how any of the numbers were came to? And I could always, we could always actually afterwards, if you have questions of where they came to, Kevin and I have put together, we have a key, we have all sorts of things so you can kind of get in and under the hood and kind of see how things were developed. So happy to do that, with anybody.
Assuming based on the dollar amount that the other operating expenses is the administrative services agreement with OC.
That's correct.
So that's the big one, okay? But the other non-operating expenses,
That's related to
you
other,
mentioned the pilot stop rate,
Correct.
so it doesn't seem to balance with the upper and the revenue. You said that they should offset each other. So Kev, can you speak to that?
One other significant component, I mean, the pilot EDF expense is unknowable really, because then, and I'll get to the other thing, but also because part of what we spend in pilot EDF may hit the income statement in the future, but part of it will hit the balance sheet as a fixed asset, like site underground improvement, the site work at the industrial park expansion. But then the other significant thing that's in those numbers is the what I generally call the federal loan accounting, where because we have both HUD and the micro enterprise loan program are both federal loan programs, we have to book. When we make a loan, it's booked as expense, and when we collect loans every month, I make an entry to show like any principal collected, and then it's 100% shown to the HUD loan program and 75% shown to micro for some ununderstood federal accounting reason. One is at 100%, one is at 75%, but it's just the way it's done. And this is a very odd thing because, normally if you make a loan, it's a balance sheet entry and the interest hits the income or bad debt later. But with federal loan accounting, any loan made is an expense, any loan collected is an income. So that's why those numbers are just high, because we're always collecting and making loans out of HUD and micro. So we've basically just looked at where we've ran historically.
and the other
That's where
thing,
it came
Kevin,
from.
that I think that we should look at that should be understood related to non-operating revenue, non-operating expense is another item that is included in the other non-operating expense is bad debt reserve.
Yes.
So, that is why that one is a little bit higher this year compared to others. I think that some of that was related to a couple financings that we've had to update in terms of where we think those are. That's also another thing, you can't really plan on that on a year-to-year basis. So,
Mhm.
so after this year, pretty much the, non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses are sort of equal. And that's assuming, that, if you have a bad debt, that's gonna throw those numbers off.
And it's even like making new loans or collecting loans get paid off, then you have a one-time income. It's very difficult, just like the pilot EDF. It's really an impossible task to, with any accuracy, know what those figures will be 1-2 years from now.
But
Other
we're
than some average.
And
What's
I'd
that,
like
boss?
to walk through that with you, Tricia, to kind of show you, hey, this is where we come up with that and where it comes from our balance sheet, as well as where it comes from, in our actual audited statement. So it's, I would say right now that we have this, I wouldn't say down to a science, but we've got it pretty good at this point. And I feel pretty comfortable with where the numbers are, for the next few years.
You need authorization.
Yes, we do.
Being conservative, you still got us in the black.
Yep.
So. You think that's reasonable to expect it will stay in the black? We need approval to send this into the state.
That's correct. We need approval to
Make the motion.
submit this.
I'll second.
Tim and Mark, any discussion, or more questions or concerns on this document? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the Village of Phoenix wastewater treatment plant project with Mark Lombardo. I think he's joined us. Hey, Mark, can you hear us? You are muted currently.
Yes, I'm trying to drive in traffic and find my mute button. I apologize.
Thank you, Mark, for joining. So Mark and I discussed earlier, Mark Lombardo and I discussed earlier this month, the county is getting to a point where things related to the Village of Phoenix wastewater treatment plant project are moving forward. They are incurring expenses, and as we remember, the IDA had allocated over $1 million towards this project, as well as the county, as well as Town of Screwful and the Village of Phoenix. Because of the way that our dollars are allocated, our dollars are cash dollars allocated. Some of the other dollars are reimbursements and other things like that. Mark has asked us to, I'll put this out there and I'll kind of turn it back over to Mark, but Mark has asked us to start, as the county starts getting invoices, that we can start helping pay for some of those invoices now, understanding that those dollars are then going to be used as sort of reimbursements to get other dollars and sort of keep the project rolling. So Mark, I'll turn it over to you to kind of give us an update of where the project is and make sure that what I just said is what you're asking for.
It is. Yeah, give me money. As you might know, the Phoenix project is a joint project with the county, the IDA, and the Village of Phoenix, and also Town of Screwful in there too. All the businesses within the industrial park are sewage is sent and treated by the Village of Phoenix, and the Village of Phoenix is currently under consent order because of a lot of I&I problems. And a good portion of that is coming from the industrial park. So this project will address the I&I. It will do some upgrades at the Village of Phoenix sewer plant to get them out of consent, and then it will provide additional capacity for further development within the IDA park. So that's a quick overview of what the project entails. The county has awarded the engineering contract to Barton Lynn LaJudas, and they're in the process of doing the design work to get us to the bidding process. And they're also working with the Village of Phoenix to get them on the IUP for short-term hardship financing. The upfront cost, and they won't get that awarded to them until probably next year. But in the meantime, we have an engineer's costs, and the county of Oswego is pledged $1 million, and the IDA is pledged a little bit over $1 million. And the contract with Barton LaJudas is about $2 million. So we're looking to keep the project moving while we go and get the short-term financing for the aspect of drawing it down as we spend money on the construction of the project.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the IDA has committed $1,077,217, and that difference of $77,217 was to close a gap in the amount of matching dollars needed for some of the state and federal funds. So we increased our amount, the village also increased their amount. One other thing that we are asking to do, because while the IDA last year had approved to increase amount on our end, is there was never a new intermunicipal agreement that memorialized that the IDA would commit $1,077,217. So the other thing we need to do is just to memorialize that, put it in writing that, you know, we did increase our commitment to the project, and you know, so while we know it, we want to make sure that everybody else knows it. It's all part of that agreement. So it's really, we're asking for the approval of the intermunicipal agreement, the update of that. And I just want to make sure that the IDA board is comfortable that now that we are gonna start having some invoices coming in, that the IDA and county, work together to start paying those invoices.
So logistically,
Mhm.
the bill's gonna come into the village of Phoenix.
It's actually gonna go to the Oswego County. The bills are gonna go to Oswego
Bills are
County.
gonna go to the county?
Yes. Yeah, the county's taking over the
Yeah.
administration of this project.
Okay.
Yeah, we're administering the whole thing. There's some bills that might go to the village of Phoenix, but they'll be sent to the county, but the county's gonna collect the money from all the funding sources and pay the bills and keep track of it and report it to all the proper agencies.
Are we looking at transferring $1 million all at once, or are we looking at transferring whatever Mark needs?
What's gonna happen is Mark's gonna send me an invoice. We're gonna send dollars over as sort of like we typically do, as like a reimbursement.
A draw, yeah.
Okay.
So,
And then we'll have a monthly accounting of that as well, and we can do that as when we do our pilot EDF reporting or however we wanna do that.
Also, the IMA that is being proposed, the only thing that's changing is the dollar
To
amount.
my knowledge, Mark,
Yes.
is there anything else, or is it just the dollar amount from the IDA?
it's just a dollar amount for the IDA and the village of Phoenix.
Okay, yeah.
And I spoke with Rich Mitchell, and he's in the process of doing something to get it out.
And then we'll obviously have Kevin Caracoli take a review of that as well, just make sure that other things, thrown in there. But, no, I think that, I, to me, like, it's very good to see this project start moving, especially at the same time that we are working, and we have a lot of momentum going at the industrial park, there'll be some very, important conversations happening in the next month or two with state officials. So to be able to show this is moving forward is going to help us with our, efforts as well.
So this is actually gonna happen.
Actually.
We've been talking about it for years. That's
Oh,
why.
yeah.
We got it going. I mean, we're paying bills.
It's gonna happen, Mark.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Mark has to be down there treating it himself, he will.
Well, Well, also to let you know, I mean, the county's kind of serious about the sewer stuff and trying to get things moving and regionalized. I've been newly appointed to a new position with the county that they created specific to moving forward with water and sewer projects and possibly a regionalized county sewer district.
And I apologize, Mark, I should have introduced you first thing. So
That's
for
okay.
everyone's understanding, Mark Bombardo is the Oswego County Special Districts Administrator, which is, means he's gonna be working on a lot of these special infrastructure projects at the county level. And Mark comes with years of experience in infrastructure. He worked with the town of Hastings for years, helped them. I mean, I think, Mark was instrumental in getting the town of Hastings 100% hooked up to water. And a lot of it hooked up to him. So we're in good hands.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So
I guess at this point, we're asking for approval for the updated intermunicipal agreement related to the dollar amount for both the IDA and to the village's amount of $1,077,217 that was already previously approved by the IDA as of April 30. It was of April 2024. So we approved this a year ago. So we're finally going to start spending some dollars here.
I'll make the motion.
So we got a motion on that from Mel, second by Gary. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I don't think we need any approval to start paying bills. We've already authorized that we would pay bills, and it's under the agreement, the structure that we've created.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
thank you, Mark.
well, thank you very much. And it's great working and cooperating together. So I look forward to future projects.
Maybe Mark, we can
Yeah.
Mark, maybe at some point in the near future, next couple months, you could maybe come and do a presentation in person about the Socris line, because I think that's something that the IDA would be very interested in as well.
Yep, I will absolutely. I'd be glad to.
Great.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. All right. That's great. Good news.
One second.
Item number 7 on the agenda.
Yeah.
CDBG.
Kevin, do you want to take this? I know you understand this.
Yeah, it's well, it's sure. This is something we do every year. Speaking of federal loans, With the HUD and MEP, the micro loan programs being both federal money, the requirements of those agreements from literally decades ago say that we need to remit we use actually a wire to send money, any interest we earned on the loan fund that's sitting in the bank, not the interest earned from lent money that goes back into the loan fund, but any money that we just get from Key Bank for the money there. So once a year, we pull this together and for the prior calendar year and send it on to the county, or sorry, to the federal government. We get your approval first. I'll just note it is a bit odd because we don't really have any other contact with any agency about these two loan programs other than making this annual payment. So we just keep doing it. Per our understanding of the arrangement, it's always been this way. So, because this is for the micro loan program account, we use a 75% factor on the interest earned, and that equals $1,337.47. So I'd ask for your consent today to remit that money to Treasury as instructed for HUD.
Tricia, seconded by Mark.
So is that just like, is there just some mailbox somewhere in DC that's just got the last 10 years of our check sitting in it? Like,
It's a wire, so they're getting it, right away.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes, Tim. I don't know. It's going into their account. It's not getting rejected. The account is open, or it was open as of last
Well,
time.
the way the program's written is that as long as the program exists, we do this. So it's not one of
Yeah.
these.
You got receipts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never come back and ask, yeah. So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 8.
yeah, so.
EDC Meeting.
So New York State Economic Development Council, they're having their annual meeting in May in Cooperstown. I'm proud to say that we have been asked to be a speaker at this event and related to our industrial park development efforts, in particular what we're doing with the Oswego County Industrial Park expansion. It's us and statewide, there's 4 speakers. There's Genesee County, which has developed Stamp, which is a 1,400 acre industrial park out in the Batavia area. There's another group out of Albany that's done a massive, and then there's us, and then there's Steuben County. And so, I mean, of the entire state, they're looking at us as someone who and I think really they're looking at how we've layered funding and overcome obstacles from EDA funding, and now, hopefully we're crossing our fingers here on the Fast New York funding. I feel very good about it, but, until it's there, it's still crossing our fingers. That we are doing a good job and we are a good example to rural and other small counties around the state of how to do this. So it's, I'm kind of honored to speak there and do this. And I know that there will be some representatives from Empire State Development there as well. So it's good to, kind of have that in front of them. But no, that'll be happening May 21st in Cooperstown, and look forward to it. First time I've spoken at that event, and hopefully not the last.
That's great.
Love it.
You need us all to go there and cheer you on.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, actually, I'll say this right now too. So one of the things, that we're looking at doing is we're putting together some additional promotional material related to the industrial park expansion, which could be used as part of this, as a short video, as part of this event, as well as part of, our Fast New York things as well. So we are pulling together and doing some slick stuff because we're at that phase now where we're still trying to get some of this stuff, but now we're doing the promotional stuff to use for future prospects and other things. So it's exciting stuff.
Money well spent on promotional materials. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
The presentation is a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I'm already looking at, hey, that could be something that becomes part of our video for SemiCon as well.
Mhm.
That's what we're pushing.
Wonderful. Any questions or anything on this? All right. Looks like we need to go into executive for the next item on the agenda. Kevin, can you tell us why?
Yeah, I think the next 4 items are primarily related to discussions involving the financial history of a particular person or corporation. There might be one related to pending or threatened litigation, but that's primarily the purpose under Public Officers Law, Section 105.
Okay. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? So moved. Mark. Second,
Second.
Mel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now in executive session as of 1:43.